Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. And boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose, please like and subscribe. Become a member to the channel. Leave a donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. Hey man, hold your horses. Let's stop taking it to the stupid. Are the fans being scammed? Is Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis, are they scamming us? Depending on who you ask, that's what they're going to say. Terence Crawford won't give this next generation, this next wave of fighters an opportunity. He just wants to cash out. Gervonta Davis, he has never shown an interest on giving anyone an opportunity except for him to fight D, C level fighters and make as much money possible without taking much risk. And some fans are saying, yo, we're getting scammed. We need to stop supporting these guys. Now, I don't agree with that. But I hear when people start talking, I'm like, man, that makes for a very interesting conversation. Now, we got to understand that today's boxing landscape, we're talking about right now, two names dominate the conversation more than others. Not just for their talent, but for the controversy surrounding their choices. Now, when you talk about Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis, I don't care what nobody says. If you ask me what I think both are elite. I think they both can do what they want. They're the ones getting in the ring. They're the ones risking their lives. And they've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, if Crawford decides he doesn't want to go fight a Boots or fight a Benavidez or fight a Bivol or go in there and put himself at risk of really getting damaged, don't do it. And for Gervonta Davis, he's been putting in work for a long time too. If he wants to fight a Jake Paul, don't get me wrong. Would I like to see Crawford fight Boots? Hell yeah. Would I like to see Gervonta fight Shakur and rematch Lamont Roach? Hell yeah. But that's the problem. That's why there's so much controversy, because they're just looking at their choices, man. You know what I'm saying? Elite guys, undefeated, both being called selfish by fans. Feel they turned their back on the sport's natural cycle of competition. They don't want to really extend legacy. The legacy fights Crawford took was just for that dollar bill, y'all. Him fighting Earl Spence was just something for him to get some money. He knew Spence was damaged. He ducked Keith Thurman. Now, Nick, this is all bullshit. For those of you who didn't know, right? Because I hear people, this is what they're telling me. So I'm like, I'll do a video. They made an offer to Keith Thurman. But remember, Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia, these guys wanted a whole lot of money. But Keith Thurman was in negotiations with Manny Pacquiao, according to Keith Thurman. But it was a very sizable offer that was thrown his way to fight Crawford. Danny Garcia wanted gazillions of dollars. And then Crawford was just being blocked. So I don't think it was a case of these guys turning their back on the natural cycle of competition. With Gervonta Davis, I think he turned his back on the natural cycle of competition. But early in his career, he was doing the business. But you get to see Gervonta, he just followed Floyd Mayweather's blueprint, man, and said, yo, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. But irregardless of all that, there's no doubt, and there should be no question when we talk about how great Crawford is, how great Gervonta Davis is. The question, I think, and I think the issue is more like whether they're gatekeeping greatness. You know what I mean? Like going out there, keep fighting, keep pushing legacy. A lot of us fans, we feel like, yo, it's okay to lose. But I just think, that having that undefeated record, and if they're going to risk their O, financially, it's got to be worth it. Now, you take a look at Terence Crawford. He's done what few fighters will ever do. Beat Earl Spence. That was a generational clash. Some people still can't wrap, even after Crawford clipping Canelo, they still can't wrap their head around what Crawford did to Earl Spence. Then he goes up, faces Israel Madrimov at 154. Some people say, well, this is what they were saying. He couldn't put a dent in Madrimov. How's he going to hang with Canelo? Madrimov really beat him. Then he goes up and outclasses Canelo Alvarez, has everybody here looking like they got peanut butter in their mouth. Let me tell you something. That shit Crawford did, was it 5 weight divisions, 3 weight divisions, undisputed in the 4-belt era? That's what you call legacy. But you know, fans aren't satisfied. They say, okay, good. You check the box, you beat Canelo. Go fight Gervonta Davis, the heir apparent to welterweight, the guy who they expect to dominate at 154 now. All right, you don't want to fight Boots? Cool. Go fight Dimitri Bivol at 175 or take on Christian Mbilli or David Benavidez. The pressure is rising for Terence Crawford to do something more than what he's already done. I mean, what they want this man to do? Go swim across a river of man-eating crocodiles and shit, butt naked? Y'all want to get Terence Crawford killed. But the bottom line, Crawford's team vacated the WBA title at 154, which only made sense. But there are many who saw it as a retreat, as putting duck sauce under fried rice. They didn't see it as a strategic move to go fight Canelo. So the criticism's clear. Crawford is protecting his legacy, not building the sport, is what some people feel. They think he's refusing to pass the torch, and he needs to at least give, in particular, Jerome Boots Ennis the opportunity. Instead, they say he's going to sit around here, cherry pick, and try to make the most money possible instead of going into a truly competitive matchup with someone who's basically a spitting image of him in the ring, Jerome Ennis, and giving the young lion an opportunity. But this is the thing. I hear y'all who are saying that. But this is the counterpoint. Boom! Crawford never had a torch passed to him, so what the hell you expect him to do? He earned everything the hard way. Terence Crawford, man, got this shit. What the young boy say? Got it out the mud. No blue hat, no blue hat. He got everything the hard way. 38 years old. Every fight now is a risk to his health, his record, his legacy. It's all about self-preservation now. You know what I'm saying? So is it selfish to protect what you built when nobody gave you shit? Your own promoter went out there and told people I could have bought a house in Calabasas with all the money that I've hemorrhaged and lost on Terence Crawford. They assassinated this dude's character, man. No promoter wanted to sign him. Look at him now. Y'all think he's going to take what he's built and just hand that shit to someone else? You must be crazy. So, I don't know. I guess the question is it smart to control your exit on your own terms? Not what the fans want. And I think that's the debate. Now, when it comes to Gervonta Tank Davis, look, it don't matter what happened with Lamont Roach. I mean, the talent with Gervonta Davis is undeniable. Now, he about to fight Jake Paul. He better not get touched up by Jake Paul. He's going to look crazy. Explosive knockouts, the timing, the pressure, pound for pound power. We all know what happened when he got in there with Santa Cruz, Ryan Garcia, Pedraza. But nobody cares about that. He didn't fight Lomachenko. He didn't fight Williams Zepeda. He didn't fight Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis. He didn't fight Devin Haney. Didn't fight Teofimo Lopez. They don't want to hear none of that bull crap. Fans are furious. Boy, they're furious with Gervonta Davis, especially now that he didn't rematch Lamont Roach. He fighting this goddamn guy, Jake Paul. They don't want that. They wanted a prime clash with Lomachenko, a technical war with Shakur Stevenson, a grudge match with Devin Haney, a rematch with Lamont Roach. Instead, they're getting this guy, Jake the Cockahole Paul. Don't get me wrong, Jake Paul's doing great things for women's boxing, but this shit Jake Paul's doing out here is, look, he's found his niche. He bring money to the table. This shit Jake Paul's doing, I watch it because I like boxing, but this is horrible. Like, Jake Paul gets no credit for anything. Talking about when I beat Gervonta Davis, I finally, maybe then I'll get my credit. Yo, you 200 pounds, he's 135. What are we talking about? But anyway, that fight, it has 3 judges that are going to be scoring the fight. It's supposed to be an exhibition with no impact on anyone's record, but somehow they're scoring the fight. See, this is the shit, man. How are they allowing this? But whatever. We're going to see. We're going to see how it goes, but I just think a lot of boxing fans feel like it's a slap in the face to boxing purists, you know what I'm saying? It's a money grab, plain and simple, but that's what Gervonta Davis has done his whole career. You know, he's been all about the money, and I'm going to be honest, as a 50-year-old guy, I'll say this. I think get as much money as you can, but I'm going to compare it to lifting weights. You know what looks good when you're in the gym? It's like back in the day. I used to get under there, 135 for 10, 185 for 10, 225 for 10, 275, 4 sets of 6, 295, 4 sets of 6, 315, 6 sets of 2, 350, 2 sets of like 1, then 385, hit it once. I run that shit off to you because that was my routine. But lifting all that heavy weight and impressing people, that's not what matters, because I've had surgeries on my shoulders. I had bicep tendons had to be reattached. That's just not what you want. And for Tank Davis, that's kind of like the same thing. You want to go and look good and get into high-risk situations instead of keeping it simple and making that money. For me, my dad always was like, yo, pursue a streamlined physique, nice and slim, like a boxer, cut up and ripped. And I used to look like that too, but then I would also like to hit them weights. I used to like that size, you know. So when I watch Gervonta Davis, I think to a certain extent he's getting it right, because people just feel like, yo, Tank is he just wasted his prime. He just wasted his career. All the real challenges out there, he ducked it. And when you think about it like that, I kind of see what they're saying. He's copied Money Mayweather's model without earning the Mayweather legacy. You know, Floyd Mayweather earned legacy, history, everything. There's a reason why many people say that Floyd Mayweather is probably the best fighter to ever put on a pair of boxing gloves. Some disagree, but remember, for every one that disagree, there's 20 that agree. But the voices are flooding social media. Like, nobody's taking Tank Davis serious anymore. And I don't think anyone's wrong for feeling betrayed by Tank. I think Terence Crawford need to cut him some slack. But for Tank, nobody's wrong for feeling betrayed with the shit that he's been doing, man. Boxing is built on risk. Crawford has taken risk. Gervonta Davis, he ain't really taking risks. Boxing is built on passing the torch. Crawford doesn't really seem to want to pass the torch to anybody, but he's testing his greatness. But you watch Gervonta Davis, he ain't really taking no risk. He ain't really trying to pass any torch, and he ain't testing his greatness for nothing. He just out here getting as much money as he can. But I just feel when you look at fighters avoiding the next generation, it feels like they're hoarding the spotlight instead of sharing it. And there's nothing wrong if you share the spotlight. You're either going to win or you're going to lose. This is boxing. You know, the best fighter doesn't always win. It's the fighter who boxes the best on that night. But again, there's another side when we talk about Gervonta Davis. Davis is maximizing his brand in a sport that often discards fighters once they lose. Maybe people just want to see him lose, you know what I mean? He's fought dangerous punches. He's taken risk early in his career. But maybe not enough to some fans. And a Jake Paul fight, while controversial, it'd probably be just a one-off spectacle to grab a little 50 to 60 million, however much he's going to make. I just hope it's not a permanent direction that he's going. But still, the clock is ticking, man. Fans want legacy, not leverage. And Davis is running out of time to deliver it. Because, Father Time, is undefeated. So the truth is, boxing today rewards control more than courage. Legacy fights come with low guarantees, very high risk, and political headaches, man. Spectacle fights often offer massive paydays with minimal danger. Crawford and Davis are operating a system that incentivizes selfishness. But fans don't care about the system, they care about the sport. Most don't even understand the system and the key decision makers in the secret society and people behind the scenes. They don't get it. They just care about the sport. They want to see greatness tested, not protected. They want to see the torch passed, not hidden. So for a guy like Terence Crawford, a guy like Gervonta Davis, are they being a bit selfish right now? I think Crawford's just protecting what he earned, man. And just like, you know what, I'll make up my mind on what I want to do, but fans, most of y'all ain't show me any love anyway. Now that I'm at the top of the mountain, I'm not going to sit here, man, and allow y'all to force me a direction I don't want to go. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to march to the beat of my own drum. And I don't blame him for that. But Davis may be chasing what he believes he earned and what he believes he deserved. But in the eyes of fans, Gervonta Davis, he refused to face guys who are in his peer group and pose a real threat to him. And he for sure is refusing to feed any young lions because Gervonta just wants the most money and he doesn't want to lose. Terence Crawford, because he won't fight Jerome Boots-Ennis, they feel that Crawford is refusing to feed the young lion like Jerome Ennis. And many feel that if they don't change course soon, they risk becoming villains in their own legacy story. I think Crawford, it doesn't matter what he does, he ain't going to make people happy. And Gervonta Davis doesn't care. So, I don't know. Is Crawford being selfish? Is Gervonta being selfish? Are the fans getting scammed because they support these guys and put so much money into going to their events and supporting them to where now these guys don't want to give them the fights they really want? Let me tell you something. Crawford and Gervonta Davis. There's only one fight for each of those guys. For Crawford, it's Boots. That's it, man. For Gervonta, it's Shakur Stevenson. All the Teofimo, Devin, all that shit's nice, but it's Shakur. But if you look at the way these guys are moving, Crawford ain't doing that fight, and Davis ain't doing that fight. So until they do, fans are going to feel like, all right, well, all would be forgiven if y'all just give us those fights. Until then, we feel like we're getting scammed. I don't know. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.